A black belt reads, still on a Star Wars kick. So I've read maybe 6 Star Wars books since the last time I did a video. But today I just wanted to talk about one that kind of stood out to me, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. This is the High Republic. This is set hundreds of years before the prequel trilogy. So this is sort of a new thing that they did about 4 or 5 years ago at this point. Um, yeah, I just wanted to get into it. So this is the first book. This is the first book you read if you want to get into the High Republic. I really liked it. It was good. It was really good. This is old, old, hundreds of years before the prequel. The Jedi are incredibly powerful. They work together. It's a golden age for the Jedi, and there's no Sith. The Sith have been gone for thousands of years at this point, right? So obviously we know that they're still lurking, but they're nowhere to be seen in this era, so far at least. The antagonist for this is a little different. It is a group of space marauders called the Nile. I think it's pronounced Nile, like annihilation is where that's taken from, I believe. They gave me very Mad Max vibes. I'm sure that's been said before. They wear like crude, ugly armor with spikes on their ships, and they fight dirty. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where you know the conflict goes, because obviously the Jedi are way more powerful, but these people fight. They don't fight fair. They fight dirty, and they have some technology ability that lets them do something that nobody else can do. Without spoiling anything, I mean, it's not a huge spoiler. They can do something that no one else can. So it's really interesting to see what they'll do with that. This is like the UK book, but I think this is just kind of the standard cover. So you've got, I believe this is going to be Avar Chris. She is one of my favorite characters. She's on the front for a reason, I think. She's kind of given, there's not really a main character, but she's kind of given the most personality, maybe. It's because she describes the way she feels the Force. So, you know, we have the original movies with the Force, and it's always been pretty mysterious. Obi-Wan Kenobi says the Force is in everybody, but only some people really accept it or can sense it or whatever. So all the Jedi in this era, they all describe a different way of sensing the Force, which is really cool. And Avar, for instance, she hears the Force as a song that sings to her. And it's just beautifully written. This is the first book that I've read by Charles Soule, but I did read the Vader comics by Charles Soule. And interestingly enough, he actually also did the Daredevil comics, which will be represented in the new Daredevil show that's coming out soon. I think that new Daredevil Born Again is about to drop, and that is based on, at least, partly, Charles Soule's run on Daredevil. So I didn't know if you guys knew that or not. But this is my first novel by Charles Soule. Perfect. He was the perfect person to give the first book to. He did a beautiful job. The way she senses the Force through a song. You've got her sort of partner, Elzar Man, I believe was his name. Again, they have kind of a long standing relationship. They grew up together, and you can tell that they like each other. They probably love each other, but the Jedi are super weird, right? They don't want to have attachments. They don't want to have families and stuff. So that's one thing about the Jedi I don't really like. So we'll see where it goes. It seems like they want to be together, but they know they shouldn't. So maybe something interesting will come from that. This one in the very back here, I believe that's supposed to be, is it Loden Great Storm? Yeah, he's really interesting as well. And extremely powerful Jedi. Him and his Padawan get quite a bit of time in this book. This one, I believe, is Buryaga, the Wookiee Jedi that we get. Um, Again, they all have different sort of abilities, talents. His talent is that he's like empathic. He can sense the emotions of everyone around him very strongly. Like he can tell if someone's upset, just by being around them. That's a very interesting ability to have. I don't know if I would want that. It seems to kind of haunt him a little bit, but he also helps a lot of people because he has that ability to maybe see what others can't and help. So the book starts with the Great Disaster, is what they call it. And it's a very interesting way to start the book. Star Wars, again, does such a fun job of melting sci-fi and fantasy together. This book starts off very, very sci-fi. We're in space, and they're going through hyperspace, which is very Star Wars. And then things are coming out of hyperspace and, potentially causing the destruction of ships and planets and stuff. And you're trying to figure out, what is it? How is it possible? It shouldn't be possible, they say, because these hyperspace lanes are supposed to be clear and nothing can get in and out of them. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool way to start the book. It kind of counts down to this imminent event, the Great Destruction, I think is what they call it. And again, what does that have to do with Jedi? Well, the Jedi come together and they use their powers in a way we've never seen before. They all work together to create I don't want to spoil anything. They all work together and they do something really, really cool, really powerful, like overpowered, really. So it's going to be really interesting to continue with the High Republic and see what else are they going to do, and also what happens to them, because they're so powerful at this point. But that's at the prequel trilogy, like Phantom Menace, they're at like a downfall. It's like the fall of the Jedi. He said they were protectors of the galaxy, protectors of peace for thousands of years, and then they're not going to be. We know that. So, curious to see what will happen. I think this was a really good idea for Star Wars and Lucasfilm to tackle the High Republic era, an era we haven't really seen much of at all. We've gotten the Old Republic before, we have all the prequel era, the original trilogy stuff, and then all the Star Wars legacy books for after Return of the Jedi. So this is like an untouched era. So it's going to be really fun. There's comics, there's YA books. I'll probably check out whatever I can and just see how it goes. Yeah. So if you're into Star Wars, I would highly recommend Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule.